Hey, this is Cinephile Studios with a really quick top 10 I wanted to do. I wanted to get this video out at the beginning of July, but whatever. I'm just gonna do it now anyway. I've always been kind of wanting to do a top 10 films of the year so far, you know, midway through the year, because there's a lot of movies that don't end up making it on my top 10 once we get to the end of the year. There's a lot of movies that I still want to talk about. A couple of the movies on this list I have reviewed, but a lot of them I haven't, and I just want to get a chance to talk about them before, you know, they just fade away and I never mention them ever again. So here it is, really quick, top 10 movies of 2017 so far. Number 10 is Life. This is basically an Alien ripoff, and I think a lot of people complained about that. Everyone basically said, yeah, it's an Alien ripoff. And it is, you know, and but it's a good one. Honestly, it's just a good popcorn entertainment film. I like the actors, I like the special effects, I kind of like the suspense of it all. It actually was a movie that sort of did terrify me, and the ending was very dark, with it immediately cutting to Spirit in the Sky, which I thought was just brilliant. I don't know, I'm sure a lot of people thought it was stupid, but I loved it. I thought it was a great sort of sci-fi horror film, and you know, it's an Alien ripoff, but there's a lot of them, and this is one of the good ones, so I enjoyed it for what it was. I'd go see it again, and yeah, as of right now, number 10 of the movies I've seen this so far this year. Number 9 is Jesus Bro. So this is a movie that if you have ever watched The Cinema Snob or anything that Brad Jones has done, this is a movie that he made. It's basically spoofing all of the weird religious films that have been coming out in the last couple of years. A lot of them made by Pure Flix, but all of them with just ridiculous morals and, you know, stuff that even most Christians don't agree with. So yeah, he basically made a spoof of it. It's very funny. At times, some of the jokes don't really make sense unless you've seen the movies or, you know, at least seen the reviews he's done of the movies. But for me, a lot of them really do land. It's really great to just see, you know, because a lot of those actors in the movie are just people that you've seen online, and I really enjoy watching. It's just nice to see an independent film that was as funny and as satirical and, you know, as that movie was, and it touched on a type of movie that hasn't been made fun of, I don't think, yet. So I enjoyed it. Number 8 is Captain Underpants, the first epic movie. This was a movie I had been waiting years to see. Ever since I was a little kid, that was the book series I grew up on, and it was great to see a movie that not only brought that same kind of humor with it, but that same kind of animation style. It's amazing that the movie was built, you know, made for such a small budget, but it ended up turning out so well. A lot of the actors who I was a little afraid to be in the movie, like Ed Helms and Kevin Hart, they almost go unnoticeable. It's just great to see those characters come to life in exactly the way that I pictured. A lot of great jokes, a great story that is just beat after beat, really just well put together, really well paced story, and probably will end up being one of the best animated films, so I thought it was great. Number 7 is Wonder Woman. This has been a great year of superhero films. In fact, all 4 live action superhero flicks that have come out this year are all on my list. I'm just gonna say that right now. I thought they were all that good. Wonder Woman was another great one. Christopher Reeve as Superman, you know, because he just was Superman, and Gal Gadot just is Wonder Woman, and the story is great. It's a movie that is 2.5 hours, but you would never think is 2.5 hours. It goes by really quick. It's got great suspense, it's got great emotion to it. It doesn't have a great villain, and that was kind of, you know, if you want to know more about that, just watch my review. But overall, it's a movie that I would totally go see again. It gets me really excited for what DC has planned next, and I hope that they follow the mold of this movie rather than Batman vs. Superman. So, really great superhero film. Number 6 is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. This was a movie that, you know, I was really excited to see, and when I saw it, it completely, my expectations were fulfilled. I Really enjoyed it. It was really funny. It was really kind of action-packed. It had great characters again, a bunch of great new characters, a really good villain from Kurt Russell, and maybe some people even think it's a little too obvious, but I don't know. I think he was great. I think he's one of the best that the Marvel Cinematic Universe has created, villain-wise. The only thing that I really didn't like about it was that I thought it was a little too jokey at times, to the point where the emotions didn't work as well as they should have, or at least not as well as they did in the first film. Once again, you can watch my review of that movie. I go into a little more detail about it, but definitely one of the better sequels that has been done in the Marvel world, and one of the better superhero sequels. I enjoyed it a lot. Just not as good as the first movie. Number 5 is Logan. Now, this is a movie that I completely forgot to review. I never got to it, but don't underestimate me on this. It was amazing. It was great. It was one of the best X-Men movies to come out in probably since Days of Future Past, I guess, if you don't include Deadpool. But I really liked it a lot, and I just love the character of Wolverine so much. It was great to see him put in a situation that this movie presents. I like the new girl character that was introduced. Patrick Stewart's amazing as Professor X. It's just a very simple story, but I really like that. I like that it was sort of a Western, and you know, there's also a black and white version of the film called Logan Noir, and you know, they did a black and white version of Mad Max Fury Road, which I kind of watched, but as I was watching, I'm like, this is pointless. The black and white version of Logan is really good, to the point where I almost wonder if it's better than the color version. I can't explain why, but that's just a movie where it was black and white and it worked really well. So I'd recommend, if you see it, try to even see that version if you want to see it the second time. It was just a great way for Hugh Jackman to go out of the franchise. Yeah, it was a challenging movie, and I liked it. I liked it for that. It was daring, so I liked it. Number 4 is the Lego Batman movie. Not really much to say about why I like this movie. I mean, it's sort of a sequel to the Lego movie. It's got the same kind of humor, but this time it's Batman. Batman being one of my favorite characters ever. I mean, Batman's just such a great character, no matter if he's serious or silly. In this version, we kind of get a mix of both, and it's a lot of fun. It's also got an amazing score. That's one thing that, if I could add something to the talk about Lego Batman, it's the fact that it has a great score. It's got really great humor, really great animation, again, just like the Lego movie. It's that kind of animation where it looks so much like real Legos, and sometimes it looks like it's straight up stop motion, but other times they move really, you know, fluid, and it's just, I like the mix, and I really like that the Lego franchise is becoming its own thing. I hope they make a bunch of Lego movies. It's a lot of fun. One of the best Batman movies ever made, probably, yeah. Number 3 is, well, SpiderMan Homecoming. I didn't think I would end up liking it as much as the other Spider-Man movies, because it was so heavily involved in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, like to the point where Iron Man had to be in the movie. I kind of wish he would have just been his own thing, but after seeing the movie, I was like, I'm sold. It's not the best Spider-Man movie, but it's something that the Marvel Cinematic Universe needed. It needed a character who was actually being influenced by the culture that the Avengers would cause. I like all of the characters. I mean, it's just like, I always really liked Spider-Man 2 for all of its like extras and just side characters, because even if they have one line, they're really memorable, and this movie is the same way. And the Marvel Cinematic Universe hasn't had a movie like that either, where just every side character is really memorable. This one just did, and then it had such a good story, and it had such a good main lead, and even though the villain is kind of boring, it's Michael Keaton playing him, and Michael Keaton's great, so already that's a win. And I don't know, I'm sure everybody else is gonna like Guardians of the Galaxy more, you know, the sequel more than this movie, but I don't know. For me personally, I mean, I'm a huge Spider-Man fan. I thought it was really great, and yeah, I was sold. I'm like, thank God Marvel got Spider-Man back, because who knows what the Amazing Spider-Man 3 would have been like. So, Yeah, I love that movie a lot. Number 2 is Get Out. I don't know, I'm seeing more and more people are seeing this movie now that it's on DVD, and everyone I've talked to has loved this movie, and first night I saw it, I walked out and I was like, well, that'll probably end up being my favorite movie this year, and it's March. That's crazy. But it is just that good. It's just a really suspenseful story. It's a story that you kind of keeps you guessing, and it also doesn't take itself too seriously. It's kind of a horror film, but there's also a lot of comedic moments in it. I would almost compare it to Gremlins, which is, you know, maybe that's a weird comparison, but where like Gremlins is, it's scary, but you could tell that the director was trying to make it funny at times. Like, it's not unintentionally funny, it's like purposely funny. You know, there's a scene where that guy is running at the main character. He's just running at him, and then he just runs past him. That's a scene that's just super funny, but it's also kind of creepy. There's so many moments like that in this movie. It constantly kept me guessing. There's like a sci-fi twist halfway through, which at first I was kind of like, oh, are we pushing it a little too far? But then, you know, after you watch it again, you're like, no, you know what, this is perfectly done. It's really terrifying. It's really, for specific people, it's gonna be even more terrifying, so, yeah. But, yeah, that was a great movie, and it's a movie that had a huge message, you know, written underneath the entire product. So, yeah, one of my favorites of this year. Number 1 is Baby Driver. I only saw this movie because it's Edgar Wright. Anything he makes at this point, I'm gonna go see opening day. And of course, it was just amazing. And you know, I don't even know if I like it more than all of his other movies, but I feel like any year that he makes a movie, I'm gonna end up liking that movie the most, because he just makes movies so perfectly edited and have perfect characters and just enjoyable characters and a great soundtrack and great action scenes, great suspenseful moments, great emotional moments, really funny dialogue and really funny scenarios. Every time you get something slightly different from the others, but you also get something that when you watch it, you know, yeah, this is an Edgar Wright movie. Go watch my review of it. I just kind of talk about how amazing it is for 10 minutes straight, and yeah, it is. It's just a movie that has such a good script, and it was built up from that to storyboards, to editing, to just the final product that is just a piece of art. It is amazing. It's the only movie this year where I'm like straight out saying 10 out of 10, perfect A+ picture. I'm so happy that this movie's actually making a lot of money. So, because, you know, Edgar Wright's movies, he's always made great movies, but none of them have gone that appreciated. I mean, Scott Pilgrim was one of, you know, it was made by a bigger studio, and I think it ended up tanking at the box office, and I was like, come on, people, go see his movies. Edgar Wright is such a unique director, and he's such a hard-working individual. When you watch his movies, you just see all the time that was put into that craft. I don't know if anything's gonna top it. It's going to be very difficult for that to happen, but as of right now, I think that's probably going to be my favorite of this year, Baby Driver. Every time I'm expecting so much, and yet he still surprises me. Edgar Wright's amazing. So, there you go. That was top 10 films so far, 2017. I'll see you in January when we finish off the rest of the year, and we'll see how many of these movies end up sticking around.